You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
Well, the NBA, probably the most progressive of all sports leagues out there, they have decided that they're no longer going to use the term owner. Some people say that's an issue because you have largely African Americans on the court, and it brings up slave connotations. So the question is, does that make sense? Again, the NBA is 75% black. And they're saying owner doesn't sit too well. The NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, had this to say about this issue.
I got to ask you. So the 76ers owner moved away from the term owner and now goes managing partner, right? Do you see that happening more in the NBA? Do you like the idea that moving away from that term owner?
I do. I don't want to overreact to the term because, as I said earlier, people end up twisting themselves into knots, avoiding the use of the word owner. But we moved away from that term years ago with the league. We call our team owners the governor of the team and alternate governors. But so I think it makes sense. As I said, I don't want to overreact, and you'll find the word throughout memos over the past decade in the NBA, but I'm sensitive to it, and I think to the extent teams are moving away from the term, we'll stick with using governor.
Now, the owner of the New Orleans Pelicans, who also owns the New Orleans Saints, she has said she's going to stick calling herself an owner. Well, let's see what Zion Williamson has to say about that. Joining us right now is Raina Kelly. She's the managing editor for The Undefeated. Raina, just your thoughts on this issue here. Adam Silver clearly listens to his black ball players and their thoughts on this issue.
He does, and that's important because from a point of racial trauma, and we're all dealing with the racial trauma of We Were Five, of Central Park Five, owner has a meaning that is very important and not good for black people and for black players. Nobody wants to be owned. Obviously, that's a sensitivity. And I think Adam made exactly the right move.
And what we also are dealing with, again, is a change in phraseology and also this reaction. Let's also remember, this is also the NBA, where you had Donald Sterling, who Adam Silver kicked out of the NBA because he truly ran the Clippers like a plantation.
I agree with you. Here's what I think is the issue is, and I think this transcends basketball and goes to all sports, where you own a team. You own a team, which means you own certain trademark rights, you own certain rights to have you do not own players. And while it is fine for certain individuals to mix that up from a verbal point of view, for many African Americans, virtually all the ones I know, including myself, the idea of being owned is not something that is comfortable for us. You know that. Oh,
absolutely. And I think what you also, you also are seeing that by doing this, it also causes the folks who actually run these teams to not see themselves as essentially, you're my property. I think back when LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers and Dan Gilbert pretty much had this reaction of like, how dare you leave when he had the damn right to leave.
Well, I mean, that's a fascinating concept, right? And that goes beyond words. I know it's very common in our self-care, namaste kind of world to say, change a word, change a thought. It's not as simple as all of that. So you can take the word owner out of everybody's vocabulary. However, the idea that you own not just a team, but everybody who plays for it and thus their destinies is going to remain whatever word you use. What needs to be different is the idea that an individual player, just like an individual employee of any company anywhere, can go and do what they choose. You're not owned by anybody.
All right, Raina Kelly. with the Undefeated. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
What do you think about this?
I actually don't. I mean, I agree with her in the sense that unless we change the way that people see these players and are not trying to interfere with their individual agency and their own conscience and in their ability to speak their political conscience, then it's important. But if you still treat people like you own them, changing the name from owner to governor won't really have much effect. And you know, I'm sort of, you know, not impressed by the decline in the use of the term in the NBA.
I probably agree with the doctor on that. You know, first of all, the players are under contract. They're not owned anyway. But you do have to respect and understand the difference in cultures in each league. Mm-hmm. The NFL ownership would never change their name.
Right.
You know,
hell no.
They would never do it.
No,
the
NFL is the absolute closest
that will be
to this. No. First of all, how they operate is no. We own your ass. That's how they think. That's how they operate. We tell you what to do. You don't tell us what to do.
Right. And I think the idea that I am paying you, so then you do belong to me, right? They don't view it necessarily as a wage, right? But perhaps as a price you pay to own someone. Now, these are very handsomely compensated people, so I don't want to push that slavery analogy too far. But I do think to the extent that owners view the salaries not as payment for your skill, right, to be on this team, they view it as, oh, I bought you a person. It's like, no, we have agreed to enter into some kind of rental agreement until I can find some better place, so you can find a better player.
Well, but the reality is, though, and I think here's the part of the problem. I think if we can have this conversation in present day, but if you take this thing back, that phrase in sports leagues, you go back to Major League Baseball and even the White Sox scandal, okay, how the owner of that team disrespected and treated his ball players. I'm not giving you raises. And so I get it. The NBA, I think what they're doing is smart. Frankly, you can call them CEOs or whatever. I have no issue with what the NBA is doing. I think absolutely what they're doing is, as Raina said, when you change a phrase, change a word, it also does indeed change the meaning. And unfortunately, with some of these professional teams, you have folks who truly act like, no, I own you. I control you. And again, we're not for Curt Flood in Major League Baseball, the reserve clause. The teams owned you. You had no options. And in fact, folks were even making the argument about the NBA. And in fact, here's what's interesting. Fans love sports, but in every single sport, you don't have control of where you work. Yeah. Every sport has a draft. You are unless you force a change, like Eli Manning did when he said, I'm not going to San Diego, or like John Elway did when he forced a change. I think it was, I'm not going to the Colts. Pretty much is, whoever drafts you, they got you.
No, I mean,
and that's what's also, I think, bothersome by some people.
Yeah, I don't think it's by any mistake that they use these languages of draft and trading and all this other kind of language that is very reminiscent of a enslaved.
No. If you want to see the slave thing, go to the NFL Combine.
Well, right, for sure. Where people perform.
No, not perform.
Measured
No. You walk in your underwear.
Oh, I know. I've seen
and
it.
they are looking at you.
And they make you run.
And they looking at your stomach, your body. I mean, it's the closest to a slave auction block, Michael.
As you can get.
Well,
but I think we can also, in this era of 45, it's also important to commend somebody in leadership that said, you know what, I'm taking a stance. It's not right. We're changing the name. But again, whether it's a big deal or not. And I know you mentioned
the behavior has to change.
Commissioner Silver has to be commended.
Yeah, the name and the change have to be commensurate with your behavior.
Correct.
Go again. Change your damn name. I'm good with it. All right, go on.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, they're back. MarijuanaStock.org has another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in the last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a bunch of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. They are certainly on fire. Now they have a new investment opportunity that is as good, if not even better, than the last. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD. which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all the plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. You can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000, something that you may not want to miss out on. Go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in the game and to do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.